fly like you stole it.
Welcome back to the third video in this playlist series. So today I have received the Airbot Fireworks V2 from Unmanned Tech, and today what I'm going to do is cover the installation of betaflight briefly, plugging it into betaflight and making sure this board works before you even consider soldering anything up. Any shop you buy one of these from, if they've got solder on it, they will not accept it back. So I'm going to flip screens to betaflight download page. The link for this website will be down below. It is just from github.com, and you can Google it and find it. So for me, I am going to download the 32-bit version for Windows. Let's give it a click. Save file. Shouldn't take a second to download. There it comes. Well, that downloads. A couple of things about this board. It has the soft-mounted gyro on top. It is a ICM 2608. I'm reading it from the screen because I'll never remember all these numbers. It has the 5-volt 1 amp BEC, the 8-volt 1 amp BEC, which is LC filtered for FPV feeds. betaflight OSD. It has FPV camera control, but I'll be using a UART for the RunCam split instead. It has the Hall effect sensor for current instead of the normal shunt. It has 5 UARTs, which I'm going to be using all of them. I'm going to do a wiring lay down of this flight control and the parts I'm using in this build, so you'll be able to follow every part. What else? This board is actually a bit smaller than I was expecting. So soldering this might be a bit tricky. I have to be careful. I don't want to lift any pads. These cutouts and notches, some pencil, for the ESCs and for the Lipo connections. I've noticed that actually in the connector itself, they're played all the way through. So whether you paint the wire on top, facing upwards or downwards, depending on how you want to do your Lipo connector, I'm going to probably do mine upwards, maybe with a small pigtail. And the ESC wires either coming out sideways or down towards the bottom, trying to keep it neat and clean. It should be quite easy. So the ESC wires are really small. I never have a lot of luck getting a good clean Lipo connection, but I shall have to give it a go again and see if I can't learn from other ones. This board has all the UARTs down one side, 5-volt and the 8-volt. Well, the 5-volt BEC's this side, the 8 volts is on the camera on the other side. So this should be fun. Oh, for some reason the USB connector is actually gold in this. Something to note, that is ground as well. All the grounds I've already checked are already linked together. They all share very common ground, including where the standoff goes. They're also ground as well, but I'll cover that a bit more when I swap cameras to the cover continuity in a minute. So back to betaflight. So betaflight is finished downloading. I'm just going to install it. Right, swap screens. So this is betaflight 10.3.1, which is the latest edition at the moment. So you can set with defaults and get it installed. There is a bug with 10.3.0 and using it to configure boards that are not betaflight 3.4. Apparently it will smoke a motor. It does something to the where is it? Oh, they've retracted that version completely, so you can't even download it anymore. It didn't do you any favors. So let's let that install. There we go. Finish. Right, there we go. Betaflight is installed. So, USB cable. Plug it in. Get right around, that helps. Oh. Green light, flashing blue light. Always a good sign. Click connect. There we go. So board responds. Looks good. So I'm happy that this board works. What I will do while I've still got connected to my computer is I'll disconnect, flash firmware, release. I'm going to turn off unstable. We're going to go for the Omnibus F4FW. Now, on the instructions on Unmanned Tech site, it does say Betaflight firmware targets Omnibus FW. So this is an F4 board, so that's what I'm going to go for. Latest release, stable release is now 3.4, so it's finished its RC releases and it's gone for stable. Sure, I should do that. Full chip erase. Load firmware from online. Right, hold the boot button. This has one. He says. Yep, it's on the back under the USB port. So that's the top of the board. So you flip it over, and the boot button is actually just there. So you hold the boot button and click flash firmware. No response. Try again. Okay, right, that didn't work. So I'm going to go for flash and connect. Unplug the board. Hold the boot button down and plug in the board. And click flash. There we go. So my mistake, unplug board, hold the boot button, then plug board in. And you can let go of the boot button. So we'll let that flash in. I'll connect to the board. I'll make sure it's still working. And that's the end of the Betaflight configurator for now, until I actually come to configure the board itself. So at the moment I'm just interested in the board that's actually functioning. There. Flash successfully. Click connect. Yep, there we go. Everything's happy. So for now, that's all I'm interested in. I'll just unplug. Now about continuity. Now I'm just going to switch over this bit. You won't be able to see me. So with a continuity meter, here I got a normal cheap meter here. I flip it all the way to continuity and set the other setting to ohms, and then you can tell it's working because nice beep. What you want is that number to be lowest as possible. Anything higher or beeping, then you've got continuity. If you've got something with a capacitor in it, it will beep for a second. That's just a capacitor discharging. If it continues to beep after that, you still have a short, so you need to look further. Right, so here's the board. Now, obviously, plus and negative, it's going to be no continuity. Apart from that initial bleep, that was the capacitors that are on board just discharging. Now, if we go for negative pads, there it goes. There's a ground pad here on the ESCs. There's a ground pad here. They're all connected. Now, as somebody standoff, these are also connected to the ground. They're all connected to each other. Now, the reason why that's important to note is that carbon conducts electricity. Not so much in top and bottom because they are the finish on them, but the edge of the plates. Now, if you used to wear through the top, you could make a contact. So, let me grab the frame. So, on the GEPRC 2 frame, all the screws, and same as every frame, run through this, through the flame, through the carbon. So if you touch the edge of the frame anywhere. So I'll pick the top deck here, out of the way, and then screw. Continuity, yeah? Back here is an SMA port where you're supposed to mount your VTX. Now this frame does actually come with a grommet, but if they didn't come with a grommet, continuity. So if I grab my other frame, there it is. Now on my frame, you won't see it. Everything is mounted on nylon standoffs and the vibration ones, so there's no continuity. So if I grab the negative pin on my XC60 and go for the edge of the carbon, there is nothing there. Now the SMA connector on your VTX is connected to ground, so if your SMA is fitted into the carbon frame and your FC is, there's a chance there'll be a ground loop between your FC and the SMA. Now that could cause video interference. Mine's connected on this one into a PLA mount and the frame is isolated anyway, so I don't have any problems there. But if I grab the GEPRC Mk2 and just place the FC on these standoffs here, touch carbon, touch negative, even just resting the FC on, there is ground contact there. So I might mount this on nylon standoffs. It might make the board sit a bit high, or maybe rubber grommets, but I've got to mount it on something because the way you can't see this board is, that just touches all the capacitors underneath. So there will be nylon standoffs that raise it up higher, which will then create isolation of the ground from the FC and the carbon itself. And then when I mount the SMA, I have a TPU mount to go on the back, which will also keep that off and hopefully keep some of the noise at the video feed as well. So that's all I'm covering for this video really, is the fact that the FC is now here. I have every part I need to complete the build. It works. I've tested it in betaflight. Some of the considerations you've got to remember, some of the smaller things that are not necessarily as obvious about the grounding of the SMA. So if you short your board or your positive Lipo connect onto your frame, there's all places that it can earth out, anywhere across the board, straight into your VTX through the SMA. So I try to keep everything as grounded as I can and separated. If it helps, I don't know, but it's worth a try, and I'd rather spend that extra 30 seconds just make sure the extra grounds are clear. And I've never had any noise problems in my video feeds, so for me it seems to work. So that's it for this video, short and sweet. Next video I will start putting everything onto the frame, motors, ESCs. I'll start soldering stuff up, and then I'll give an update on how I've soldered it all up. I'm not going to make you watch me do the soldering because it's just painful and it takes me ages to do any soldering, and I'm not particularly great at it. So I'll get it done and then I'll show you guys afterwards, and then we'll move on from there. Right, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.